Welcome back to our Noble Lineage on Supreme Master Television. Today we are going through the historical chronicles of American vegetarian history as guided by Mr. Adam Shprintzen.
Through the 1830s, the largest advocate for a flesh-free diet was a figure named Sylvester Graham, who was trained as a Presbyterian minister. He was certainly informed by a sense that dietary habits and dietary choice was fundamental to living the good life. Graham becomes popular in the 1830s, preaching abstention from any number of stimulants, alcohol being certainly amongst them, spicy foods, but at the center of that is this call to abstain from meat. Graham invented a bread that was a pure whole wheat bread known as Graham bread. This bread became so popular that in the cities throughout the Northeast, he had a series of followers known as Grahamites that would live the lifestyle that he preached, abstaining from alcohol, abstaining from flesh foods, and having a diet based in cold water and this really pure whole wheat bread. He became so popular that these followers ended up forming boarding houses throughout cities in the Northeast, in particular in New York and Boston, seeing the boarding houses being the way to live their Grahamite lifestyle in the most efficient way possible.
Dr. Sylvester Graham was also against marketplace milk because most cows were fed on leftover distillery mash or swill, and merchants would add chalk, plaster of Paris, and molasses to make it presentable as a saleable good. There was actually not much nutritional value in the milk and was also contaminated by liquor.
The Grahamites remained popular through the 1840s. The combination of the Grahamites and these Bible Christians come together in 1850 and form the American Vegetarian Society, which was the first nationwide vegetarian organization in the United States.
Dr. Sylvester Graham is credited with co-founding another one of the first vegetarian societies in the United States. Established in 1837, the American Physiological Society is actually claimed to be the first organization in the world dedicated specifically to the promotion of vegetarianism. The other co-founder, Dr. William Alcott, author of The Vegetable Diet as Sanctioned by Medical Men, also later became a friend and supporter of Reverend Dr. William Metcalfe's Vegetarian Congregation. When news that the first vegetarian society in England had been formed, the two men quickly acted to establish one in the United States. After much corresponding and garnering of support from other like-minded individuals, the result was the American Vegetarian Convention that took place on the 15th of May, 1850 in New York. It was here that many other vegetarians from various walks of life had a chance to meet, share ideas, and ultimately form a society. Dr. Alcott became its president, and Dr. Metcalfe became secretary and editor of the Society's newsletter, the American Vegetarian and Health Journal, that was first made available to the public in the following year.
The American Vegetarian Society was most important for two reasons. First off, they placed vegetarianism at the center of all the great reform movements of the time. Vegetarians of the time believed that the only way to have a society that was just, non-violent, non-aggressive, was to wean themselves off of meat. The next logical step then, with a more peaceful, more just society, would be to end these social blights such as slavery and the oppression of women. The second reason that the American Vegetarian Society is fundamentally important is that they popularized the use of the term vegetarian in the United States for the first time. Vegetarians at the time chose that term to reflect the Latin root of vegetus, lively or vigorous. So while their notion of vegetarian is based in avoiding animal products, meat in particular, it was driven by this notion that it was the route to a more healthy, vital lifestyle to produce better, more moral, ethical individuals.
When we continue next week on our Noble Lineage, we'll learn more about the vegetarian communes that were established in the 19th century United States, as well as the pioneers of plant-based protein substitutes. Coming up now, loyal viewers, is Between Master and Disciples, here on Supreme Master Television. May a loving heart guide you through life, always.
For more details, please see www.suprememastertv.com/NL.